Hey guys, we're gonna try something different today. We're gonna watch this Covert Feminist on the Whatever podcast debate Rachel Wilson because Rachel's awesome and this chick is just the most, I think the word is smugnerant. Yeah, smugnerant person I've ever seen. Just confidently wrong so often. We're not gonna watch the entire thing, but I am gonna clip out the best bits and we're gonna talk about it. All right, without further ado, let's go, Rachel.
Okay. Without certain legal protections. Let's say that you are in a marriage where you have domestic violence, domestic abuse, but you don't have the money to get a lawyer because there's usually financial abuse involved as well. So there's no way for you to even prove.
Abuse.
So there's usually no way.
Is there emotional abuse too?
So there's no way. No, I actually have the data on that too. So there's no way for you to prove that you're being abused. And so that goes against their rights. And I don't want women to be stuck in bad marriages. So
do you know how many marriages?
I agree.
Do you know how many women were granted divorce in the year 1900? So this is
right. So right off the bat, she comes out of the gate with financial abuse, emotional abuse, which are just arbitrary things, as Rachel points out here. This chick claims she's a conservative Christian, but she's more worried about women having financial independence from their husbands than she is about a family, duty, responsibilities, anything like that. It's just right out the gate, she's spouting feminist talking points, not conservative Christian talking points. And this chick works for TPUSA. But let's go on.
So this is before the 19th, before no fault.
And I don't care because it's irrelevant to the point that I'm making, which is
55,700 divorces in the year 1900. You can't tell me that women couldn't get divorces. Yes, they could.
Good. I'm not saying
they just didn't because it was highly stigmatized. It wasn't practical, and the incentives were not there. And what we've built now is a system that incentivizes divorce. It incentivizes waiting till your 30s to even start a family, and that's what needs to change.
Women are incentivized to get divorced nowadays. Why would you enter a contract with someone who has every incentivization to break that contract with very little downside for them?
To shift it and make it cool again.
To get married.
We need to make it cool to get married young, to stay together. We should not be allowing or glorifying OnlyFans chicks, Instagram bikini babes, all that shit needs to go.
I absolutely agree with all of that. It's something that I practice in my personal life, obviously. But again, the answer, the solution to things is never to do anything by force or by taking away options, right? Do we want strong marriages? Yes. Do we want divorces? No. Do we think that it's a good idea to ban divorces so that people are stuck in abusive relationships?
Do you think I want a divorce ban? Or do you think because that's not what I want. What I want is where you like we always had for all of human history until 50 years ago, if you want a divorce, ideally, it should be through your church. You should have to go to your ecclesiastical authority. So I'm an Orthodox Christian. If Andrew and I know a woman that this happened to, that there was actually legitimate horrific abuse. She went to her priest and to her bishop, and she said, this is what's going on. She had other people who were willing to say, yes, we think this is going on. She was granted a divorce because of the extremeness of the situation. What we have now...
What does that have to do with the kids? What happens with the kids? What happens with dividing assets that they both had? Is the church, does it have any kind of dominion over those kinds of decisions?
Yes, so,
it does not.
No, historically, this is how...
It does not now.
But what we're talking about is prescriptions. And I'm telling you the way we fix this is if my church governed my marriage, the church would say, okay, we're going to help take care of you financially. This is what used to happen.
Once again, nail on the head. The only thing this chick is talking about is material. Material. What about my money? What about my kids? What about the house? What about me? She's not even trying to talk about saving the marriage or anything like that. Just, I need to get out. I need to be able to get out. What kind of conservative Christian woman is only thinking about getting out of her marriage and having financial security, as she says, to to get out of her marriage with her husband. You know, when guys say, I want a prenup, all the women say, oh, you don't trust me and you're just planning to fail and everything else. But when women say, oh, I want to have financial security because you never know what a man's going to do, even though women initiate 80% of divorces, that's fine. They're allowed their financial security, everything else. But when a guy wants some financial security, when a man wants to say, I want a prenup because I don't trust these hoes out here, then all of a sudden it's a problem. You're just planning to fail. This chick is planning to fail from the get-go.
And under most churches, if there was a situation where the woman was abandoned, abused, say the husband was crazy, violent, any of these things that's like...
Cheats?
It depends. That depends.
Would you be okay?
From a religious perspective.
Do you believe it's okay, or do you believe that people should stay in marriages when the other person cheats on them or commits adultery?
Well, so adultery can be a reason for divorce. It depends, and that's a personal thing that you have to go through with your spiritual father, because
that's the number one cause of divorce, by the way, in this country. Yes, it is.
No, the number one reason that women give for why they leave is growing apart, irreconcilable differences. We just don't get along.
Yeah, no-fault divorce has been one of the main contributors to the decline of the, I won't say nuclear family, but the decline of the family in general. This chick is saying somebody cheats, you gotta go immediately. But sometimes you can work through that. You can talk to your priest, you can talk to your pastor, you can talk to family members, you can talk to a therapist, you can work through it for the good of your family, because what's more important is your children.
Infidelity is more like number 3 or number 4. I've researched this quite a lot as well, and I've had this debate multiple times. It's usually like 3rd, 4th, or 5th on the list, depending on what survey you look at.
It's number 1 on the list.
No, it's not.
Government.
Infidelity is not number 1. Absolutely not. It's like 3rd or 4th on the list. But from a religious perspective, of course, it's immoral.
Look at her, shuffling through all her papers, trying to find a way to prove that Rachel's wrong. Rachel's not wrong. Rachel does this for a living. She's written several books. She's done multiple debates. This girl thinks that she knows everything because she has her research, but she's going to be proven wrong here shortly.
We don't say cheating is okay. We don't say cheating is good. But it doesn't automatically mean that in every case of infidelity, you must divorce. I know couples, and everybody knows couples, where they've worked past that. Now, if it's a serial, problem, or if there's a good reason, there's a lot of factors. This is a personal thing. This is why it shouldn't be done through the government. It should be done through the church, through your priest and your bishop who know you and know your situation and can mediate disagreements, because you don't just break up a family for any reason.
Just one of the many things that
Brian, you can go ahead and look it up if you want to. Top reasons for divorce.
2003 found that when divorced individuals are asked open-endedly to provide their reasons for divorce, the most cited reasons were infidelity, 21.6%, incompatibility, 19.2%, drinking or drug use, which I also agree with, 10.6%. In most studies, infidelity is the number one reason.
You would have to give me your source, and I would have to look at it. It's most likely going to be a survey.
This chick, smugnerant. I don't know who coined that phrase, but I love it. Smugnerant. She is just confident in her ignorance.
It's going to be most likely a survey of about 100 to 300 people.
This is from the NIH.
Really wants me to go through here.
.gov.
Oh, look how she slid that over, like a mic drop. This is from the NIH.gov. Mic drop. Not so much.
We do have to differentiate between, for example, surveys and what is actually cited in the legal divorce proceedings.
You were wrong.
Where?
Right here.
Let's go back a bit. What did it take, Rachel? Hang on. Go back a bit.
From the NIH.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You were wrong.
10 seconds it took Rachel to find the sources and the actual data in this survey to show that she can't read a survey. She probably read the first page, said, oh, I got her, and then printed it out and sent it over without reading the entire thing, which is common with a lot of these, so-called educated feminists, which she is. She claims she's a conservative. She's not. But this is common. They read one page or two pages, figure out or find the information that they want, don't bother reading the rest, bring it up on a show or bring it out to a debate, and then they find out they're wrong. Let's go.
Where?
Right here. So the results of the study, reasons for divorce. Table 1 presents the major contributors for divorce list. Overall, the results indicate that the most often cited reasons for divorce at the individual level were lack of commitment, 75%.
Another pretty word for infidelity.
That's not infidelity. Lack of commitment means you don't think the person is fully in it with you. That's what that means.
Sure.
Because, if you kept reading, the next one down the list is infidelity. So the first reason in this particular study, which I'll have to go over it, but the number one is lack of commitment. That 75% for lack of commitment. So the majority is, I feel like he's not really trying, like I'm really trying.
That's the definition you're giving it.
Infidelity.
I love that part. She says, that's the definition you're giving it. But I'm giving it the definition of infidelity and cheating. You're giving it the definition of lack of commitment, which lack of commitment can mean anything. It can mean you don't pick up the kids enough. You don't wash the dishes when I ask you. You didn't mow the lawn when I asked you to. You don't spend enough time with me because you're always working. Lack of commitment can mean anything. It doesn't necessarily mean infidelity. But she wants to tell Rachel, oh, that's the definition you're assigning to it. But I'm assigning the definition that it means infidelity. And I feel like that's right, so therefore that's what it means. No, that's not what it means. Because infidelity is number 2 or 3 on the list. I forget which one she said. But infidelity is number 2 or 3 on the list. So you wouldn't say infidelity and lack of commitment and it means the same thing. That's ridiculous.
Commitment itself is...
Not to mention the bird hands. She's doing the bird hands, which drives me crazy.
59% and too much conflict and arguing, 57%. So people can give multiple reasons. So
Rachel did it too. Maybe it's a female thing. Whatever. I still don't like it. Either one of them doing the bird hands. But we like Rachel, so we'll let it go for her. Yes, I'm biased. Deal with it.
What you're getting with these is we already had a problem. We already were fighting, and then one or both of us cheated. It does not say he cheated on her. It says infidelity. That could mean they both cheated. So one thing I've noticed about you is you're actually not very good at reading data. And
that's another thing. She's not good at reading, understanding, parsing, and then converting data into something that people can understand. I've seen this chick on whatever a few times. She was on the big show where they had the whole panel, and she was just as smug when she was talking to Andrew. And so, was it Andrew? I don't know. It was Andrew or Rachel. I don't remember at the moment, but that's why they set up this one-on-one debate, because this chick thought she slayed and ate and all the other slogan slang that the kids use nowadays. She thought that she was the one. She's not. She thinks she's winning. She's not winning. She's just,
interpreting it. You're not actually good at reading a study and understanding what it says.
No, first thing there says lack of commitment. And
you interpreted that as infidelity when the next one on the list.
Is it not?
That does not mean there was infidelity. See what I mean?
Might I just offer clarification from what...
Well, that's the other thing. She sees infidelity and she automatically thinks it was the man that was cheating. No, just automatically. Infidelity means the man was cheating and so you have to leave. Nothing about women. Women don't cheat, I guess, in her world. Because Women initiate 80% of divorces, 70 or 80%, I forget. It's somewhere in there. But she doesn't even consider the fact that maybe the woman was cheating. It just says infidelity as number 2 or 3. It could be either one of them cheating, but she just, nope, it was the man, and you gotta go.
What I looked up, so there's 2 different categories. So now, commitment to loyalty or faithfulness could be a thing, but and Rachel is correct.
They wouldn't
at least
separate it into 2 categories
there's
if they
2
meant
different
the same
categories.
thing.
Lack of commitment is one category. Infidelity, cheating is another, so extramarital affairs. But so under lack of commitment, it describes it as when the partner stops trying, they feel unappreciated, or decide the relationship is no longer a priority.
And that right there, that drink is what we call a nervous sip. If you look at the behavior panel, shout out to those guys, they're awesome. The behavior panel, that's called a nervous sip because she's getting cooked and she needs something to distract herself. Anyway, here we go.
By the way, that's the exact same data that I cited in a portion. We just did a whole brand new debate course on debateuniversity.com, and all you guys who bought part 1, you can get a big discount on part 2, which is all about debating feminism. And in my section, I use that same data to argue my position. So that's how I knew that she was wrong on that and that she was kind of misreading or twisting
The original question and point was, do you believe that women or just people in a marriage that suffer infidelity from the other partner should not be able to divorce their partner?
No, I would never say that you should never be able to. It depends. I wouldn't say that every instance of infidelity must necessitate divorce, though, either.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, should they be able to?
Sometimes.
So
it depends.
Sometimes.
Yes.
You do. Sometimes it's up to what you randomly decide.
I think marriage should be governed by the church. And if it's governed by ecclesiastical authority,
this country runs,
it should, though, and it did. So I'm saying let's go back to that because that was better.
This country is not run by your personal Christian Orthodox
That's not what I
religion.
mean. Your church. So if you're Mormon, you get married in the Mormon church.
Fantastic.
And that ecclesiastical authority governs your marriage. And if there's a divorce, they help sort out who gets what and what happens.
She said, this country doesn't run on your personal beliefs and your personal religion and blah, blah, blah. That's not what Rachel said. Rachel says sometimes. And she also said that in the past, in this country, it was run by the church, which it should be. The government should have no bearing on your marriage. Why does the government need to be involved in your marriage? It doesn't. And that's what Rachel's saying. It should be up to your church, your community, your pastor, your priest. If you get married Mormon, I don't know what the Mormons call their spiritual leaders, but same thing. It should be run spiritually because they know you, they know your family, they know your situation, they know your friends, they know what's happening in your life. The dude down at City Hall or the woman down at City Hall that issues marriage licenses and divorce decrees and the court clerk, they don't know anything about you. All they're going to do is give you a piece of paper, you fill it out, and then you're divorced. Why? I don't know. I just wasn't happy anymore. What's that saying? Women will sacrifice their family for happiness, and men will sacrifice their happiness for family. Not all women, not all men, but in general, with social media, the internet, with trying to keep up with the Joneses, with seeing all your friends on Instagram, TikTok. Yeah, a lot of women go, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. And what's he really providing? And I could probably do better. That's what Rachel's trying to illustrate here. And this chick is saying, yeah, that's great. That's what women need to be able to do. They need to have their own financial security. They need to be able to leave whenever they want to for any reason. But I'm not a feminist. How dare you? I'm not a feminist. I'm a conservative Christian. Even though I don't think the church should be involved at all in my relationship or my marriage. And the world doesn't run on your religious beliefs. It's crazy. And she swears up and down that she's a conservative Christian woman. She is nothing of the sort.
And they
That's-
are
they're-
responsible for supporting women and children in the case of the husband doing something that would necessitate a divorce. That's how it was through all of history.
All right, non-religious couples or some non-denominational Christian couple gets married, somebody cheats. Or do you believe that they are allowed to legally to get divorced, or they should be allowed to?
I don't recognize secular marriage. It's the same thing to me
Gotcha.
as gay marriage.
Gotcha.
All you're doing,
But it exists.
it exists.
Even if you don't recognize
but what it is, but what it
it's the
is,
reality.
right? But what it is not marriage. What you have as a secular person going through the state, which is why Brian's against it, and a lot of men are opting out. It's a gay roommate agreement. It's a very homosexual thing in nature, if you ask me. You are like, let's make a boyfriend-girlfriend living arrangement, like Sheldon on The Big Bang Theory, how he would make.
Yes, Big Bang Theory mention. I love it. But yeah, she's right. It's not, secular marriage is not actually marriage. What do you get out of a secular marriage that you wouldn't get out of a long-term, committed, monogamous relationship? Nothing. There's no difference, except that women will say, what about the woman's security? What about what she wants? What about the fact that she wants a wedding and a marriage and to walk down the aisle? But as they say on a lot of different channels, a lot of modern women, they want a wedding. They don't want to be wives. They want to have a wedding, but they still want to be able to advertise themselves as if they're single, posting their bikini pictures on Instagram or doing OnlyFans or who knows what else. I don't even know. I'm old. I'm an old guy. I don't know what all these people do. But they want to be able to do all the same stuff they did when they were single, but be married. That's not conducive to a good relationship. And as far as a secular marriage versus a religious marriage, you might as well just go to the church, get married, and keep the government out of it.
How he would make the roommate agreement. It's a glorified roommate agreement that's enforced by the state. There's no religious duty. There's no moral duty. It's not a lifelong commitment. You have an easier time getting out of your cell phone contract or out of a divorce in a secular situation than you do breaking your cell phone contract. You have better luck. You got a divorce that you just signed the paper and now you're divorced.
Yes,
it is easier to get a divorce in America than it is to get out of a cell phone contract. How crazy is that? You just go down to the courthouse, get a paper. They don't even really question you. Why you want a divorce? I don't know. Okay, sign here, divorce. This is how much you get in alimony. This is how much you get in child support. Go talk to the proctor or go talk to the court clerk. You get the house, you get the car. I guess he can have the dog. It's crazy.
It's a really entangled legal situation, especially when shared assets exist and especially if kids exist.
Yeah.
You try to get into a divorce proceeding when kids are involved, and
I went through that.
It takes years to resolve.
I went through that too. It doesn't really take years to resolve. I mean, honestly.
Case it only took maybe less than 6 months, but it's
a lot
horrible.
Of people it takes
but
a
it
long,
should
so
only.
it's a
My
reality.
view is that it should only be for serious situations. You're in danger.
But you
There's
don't
something
determine
drastically
that.
wrong. I don't. But we're talking about who should, and I'm saying it should be the church because marriage is a lifelong religious sacrament. If all you want is a roommate agreement, I don't care what you do.
I don't make policy recommendations based on religious arguments.
Well, that's a
even
problem.
Yeah, that's a problem. I don't make policy recommendations based on religious arguments, but I'm a conservative Christian woman. I'm actually the most conservative and the most Christian woman you'll ever meet, but I don't think religion should play into marriage or relationships or policy prescriptions or anything like that. This girl she's talking out of both sides of her mouth. On the one hand, she wants us to all believe because she works for TPUSA that she's a conservative Christian woman. And she's the most conservative and the most Christian, but no, she's not. She's a feminist. And all her feminist beliefs are just out on display. She's not even trying to hide it anymore. It's insane.
even if I hold the same values as you do. That's
So you're
not how
doing
I
the thing that
prescribe
you're doing
things.
the thing that so many people like not so erudite tries to do this. I have a set of
Ugh, not so erudite. We might watch one of those videos later, but that girl, she's like if you put Destiny on speed. She talks and talks and talks, and she talks so fast, but she doesn't know what she's saying, and I've seen plenty of her videos. Let me know if you want to see a video with her, and we'll talk about that. But no, not so erudite. She thinks she's smart, just like this girl thinks she's smart. They're really not. It's actually plain to see which of these two is more intelligent, and it's clearly Rachel.
set of morals
I don't
for
even know,
myself
like,
and what
what
I
she
think
does
is
or
right
what
or
she-
wrong. I have a set of morals, but I'm not going to force it on anyone. I think we should just default to secularism, and that's another big reason why we're
Not-
in this mess.
So we do have separation of church and state for a reason.
Don't get me started on the separation of church and state. So many people misunderstand that principle. I might have to make a video on that. The separation of church and state does not mean what most people think it means. It doesn't mean what she thinks it means. Yeah, make a note. I'll make a video of that.
I
Is
do think-
morality objective or not?
I think that morality is dependent on, what our beliefs come from God, right? Like basically whatever, what? I think there's objective right and wrong regardless of what you believe according to your religion.
Okay.
Wait, so hang on, let me go back a bit. She thinks that morality is dependent on what our beliefs come from God, except that she doesn't think that any policy prescription should be based on your belief in God or your religious morals. How's that work? How do you do both of those? Like I said, talking out of both sides of her mouth. On the one hand, she thinks that morals should be based on your belief in God, but she doesn't think that any policy prescription should be based on your belief in God.
If
So,
that's the case,
yeah.
if we know objectively what's right and wrong,
Yeah.
why wouldn't we organize society along that and not just what this person might think is wrong on that day and then Bob thinks
Some
it's
of those
wrong
things.
next Tuesday?
Let me name some of those things.
Sure.
It is objectively wrong to kill a person unless
Why?
it is in self-defense.
Why?
Right? Because
Exactly, why? If you don't have a moral belief in God, why is it wrong to kill somebody?
people have inherent human value. So that is, I don't care what your religion is.
And you
if
think that's based on God?
If you think, I think that's an objective, moral, basically decision.
But what if
and
someone
argument.
doesn't believe that? What if somebody says,
Then
I
I
don't think that people have inherent
Correct.
human value?
I'm giving you an example.
Like everybody getting abortions. I don't think that people have an inherent moral value because I don't believe in God. And what do they say? It's just a clump of cells. It's not a human. It's not a human. When is it a human? Well, when it's no longer dependent on anybody else. Okay, an infant is dependent on other people. A 1-year-old is dependent on you. A 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old is dependent on you. They can't feed themselves. They can't take care of themselves. They're dependent on you. So when exactly do they become human? They like to say after they're born or when they take their first breath, but then they also like to say when they're no longer dependent on anyone else. I know some adults who are still dependent on people. Come on.
Example of
Okay.
things that I believe are across the board that I don't think matter or change depending on a person's religion, like the right of a person to live, unless of course, they've threatened somebody else and whatnot. So I think that's an example of that, and you
Okay.
asked to name one.
Sure.
So yes, objective morality does exist. There's, you shouldn't steal, you shouldn't, because that again is taking away from somebody else's property, which is wrong, and you don't need a religion to basically support that. And
That's-
if there is a religion
But
that
see, that's where
supports
you're
that-
wrong. That's where
if
you're
there's
wrong,
a religion
though.
that supports
there are
that,
people who are secularists who don't believe stealing is wrong.
Yeah. Talk to a communist. There is no such thing as personal property. They don't think stealing's wrong because you can't own anything. What is it that the WEF, the World Economic Forum said? You will own nothing and you will be happy. And what is it that all these communists say when they're on college campuses debating Charlie Kirk, my old boss, rest in peace Charlie, is that you don't own anything. You shouldn't own anything. And Charlie said, can I own 3 houses? And the guy said, as long as you're using them all. Well, what if I'm not using one? Well, then you should give it up to other people. Oh, so other people should be able to just move into my home? Yeah, because you're not using it. They don't believe that property theft is theft. They don't think it's theft. They think it's community property. If you're not using it, I can move in and use it. Just like all the squatters in New York, California, and all the liberal cities. They think you can just move in and it's yours because he wasn't using it. Without religion, you don't have morality, lady.
They
And
think
they'd be
stealing through taxation is correct. Black Lives Matter think that, we're living on stolen land and you got to give it back and all these kinds of things. There's a lot of people who you're taking the Christian moral.
What is that saying again? Nobody's illegal on stolen land? Yeah, the land is stolen, therefore you have no rights here. Because nobody's illegal. We have no borders. Anybody can come and do whatever they want.
Christian moral paradigm for granted and saying it's objective when if we separate church and state, yeah, that's Christian. Those are Christian values.
That people have a right to live unless they're basically threatened. You think that's Christian?
Do you think there's any other religion that holds that?
You think that wasn't the case before Christianity?
No, it
existed?
absolutely wasn't. In the ancient pagan world, there was no right to life. There was no human dignity. That did not exist.
Okay.
There was no right to life. There was no human dignity in the pagan world. The Mayans sacrificed children and other people on a massive level. And many other pagan religions did as well. Rachel's right. There was no right to life or inherent human value.
They did human sacrifice.
All right, guys, so that was that. Sorry, I got a little unhinged, but that was actually kind of fun. Let me know what you guys thought about it. See you guys next time. Bye.